What do you call it when one man starts a war before Congress even clocks in? If you're consistent, you call it a constitutional crisis. Imagine if the Constitution were a dog, and today the president just shot it, buried it, and then tweeted about how great of a caretaker he is. Ladies and gentlemen, today, February 28th, 2026, the United States and Israel launched a massive military operation against Iran to crush its military capabilities and eliminate its nuclear ambition. That's the sanitized, goose-down version, war crimes wrapped in patriotic ribbon. President Donald Trump called it a massive operation to cripple Iran's military capabilities and eliminate its nuclear threat, like he's unveiling a new SUV package. Strength, leadership, cue the dramatic music and the cable news graphics with eagles flying through explosions. According to the White House press release, which honestly sounds like a copy-paste from a Bond villain's marketing team, this was necessary, defensive, and totally within the bounds of U.S. law. But here's the part that they whisper instead of shout. Congress did not declare war. Congress was not asked to declare war. Congress was bypassed completely. And how do we know this? Simple. It took over an hour for the official announcement, but it took 0 minutes for the Constitution to be ignored. Meanwhile, CNN headlines nod politely while the cable news hamster wheel spins. All is calm, all is fine. Hot tea, please. Let's get real. Article 1 of the Constitution, that dusty document supposedly doing more heavy lifting than a team of Capitol Hill interns, is not subtle. It says Congress declares war. Not the president, not the Pentagon, not a focus group. Congress. Before, not after. Not we'll get to it when Netflix is done buffering. Before. The president commands the forces after the war is authorized, not before. But here we are. Bombs are dropped, lives are wrecked, and our commander-in-chief didn't even file a request slip with Congress. Hell, he didn't even CC Congress on his grocery list. This isn't war powers doctrine. It's executive ADHD with a missile budget. And don't give me that commander-in-chief laundry list like it's a get-out-of-Constitution free card. Commander-in-chief doesn't mean king of the battlefield. It means you execute the policy that the legislature authorizes. That's the design. That's the guardrail. That's the whole anti-tyranny thing. Saying he's authorized because he's the commander-in-chief is like saying a lifeguard is allowed to run the entire amusement park because they know CPR. The framers envisioned a check on power, not a power outlet that the president can just yank whenever he feels bored. But here's the bipartisan magic trick. When it's their guy who bombs someone, suddenly everyone becomes constitutional yoga instructor. Well, technically, historically, precedent says that we've been drifting toward executive war power creep for decades, and both parties have signed the guest book. Republicans preach states' rights until Washington drops bombs without permission. Then it's don't question the commander-in-chief during combat. Democrats scream about authoritarianism unless it's their administration running drone programs like Uber Eats for missiles. The sacred cow isn't national security, it's centralized power, roasted over an open flame and served medium rare. Let's be honest, if a Democratic president had done this, Republicans would be setting their pocket constitutions on fire in protest. But if a Republican president does it, suddenly Article 1 becomes just a suggestion. You can't chant 1776 at a school board meeting and then shrug when one man unilaterally launches major combat operations. That's not patriotism, that's brand loyalty. And here's my personal message to all of the Texas legislators giving the president a standing ovation. Fuck you too. You can't campaign on decentralization and then cheer federal war making without congressional authorization. That's not statesmanship, that's auditioning for cable news. When loyalty to one man becomes the entire platform, independent ideas vanish like a fart in a hurricane. When power consolidates in Washington, state sovereignty shrinks. So much for the 10th Amendment. And when we normalize unilateral war, the Constitution becomes just so much decorative parchment. So let's roast what's actually happening. Congress sleeps. They're about as effective right now as a mute button in a toddler tantrum. They couldn't declare war if TikTok danced them through it. The president bombs first and asks permissions later. Or never. It's like a teenager borrowing the car and not returning it, except with fewer curfews and more dead people. Press coverage is reverent. Watching cable news cover this feels like reading a royal wedding program at a demolition derby. The executive branch treats war authorization like a terms and conditions checkbox. And the kicker? Most Americans are busy arguing about which party is less wrong, while the biggest power grab in decades happens in broad daylight. And the only people pretending to be shocked are the ones who still think that political parties are protection from authoritarianism. As we say here in Texas, bless their hearts. So what's the sane alternative? Well, it's not cheerleading for Team Blue or Team Red, both of whom have been on a power trip since someone invented leather chairs. If we actually care about liberty, not vibes, not party, not tribal chest thumping, then here's what reform looks like. Restore Congress's war powers. If we're going to make war, let's at least have the people's representatives vote before we drop ordinance, not after. That means no more backdated authorizations, no more fake emergencies, no more, oops, we hit the wrong country. A mandatory up or down recorded vote before sustained combat operations. Sunset war powers clauses on all authorizations for use of military force every decade. You want authority? You've got to justify it every decade. Renew it like software. War powers shouldn't be a permanent subscription. And while we're at it, an automatic funding cutoff for any military engagement not authorized by Congress within 30 days. Civil liberties committees with clout. Independent civilian oversight that actually reviews these decisions, not just post hoc press releases. If the president wants military action, it gets greenlit by real debate and more than one set of eyeballs. State legislatures formally challenging unauthorized federal military action because federalism isn't cosplay. Decentralization means no one person gets the keys to the war machine. Accountability means you don't get to say, trust me. And liberty means power stays fragmented on purpose. This isn't pacifism, it's accountability. It's saying we're adults, or at least we're pretending to be. Remember that dog from the beginning? The Constitution wasn't meant to be a chew toy for whichever tribe wins the popularity contest. It's a fence to keep the power from eating liberty. So I'll ask again, what do you call it when one man starts a war before Congress even clocks in? You can call it strength, you can call it leadership, but if you're intellectually honest, you just call it executive overreach. And I don't care who's sitting in the Oval Office. No president should have that much unchecked authority. Here's the glorious irony. The people most loudly proclaiming they're defending freedom are also defending the concentration of power in Washington. They just stomped on every rule that protects freedom, and most folks didn't even flinch. That's like calling yourself a vegan while regularly eating the Constitution for breakfast. That's not liberty, that's comfort with control, as long as your team controls it. Texas deserves legislators who think independently, not ones auditioning for cable news approval. I'm not running to oppose a man, I'm running to defend a system that was designed to restrain all men. So let me ask you, not as a candidate, but as someone with a brain and an opinion not bought by corporate money. If we don't care about who gets to declare war, why do we pretend to care about anything else in the Constitution? If you're okay with the president launching major combat operations without Congress, are you still a constitutionalist or just a fan? Drop your unfiltered thoughts in the comments. Share this rant with someone who still owns a copy of the Constitution and reads it. Let's see who actually gives a damn about lawful limits on power and how many people actually mean it when they say they love liberty.